Is Carlos Sainz Ferrari's #1 driver?
Sorry in advance for the amount of times that we may or may not mispronounce his name. Our accents do not permit us from saying it the way he does, but I promise you we are trying our best.
My full name is Carlos Sainz Vázquez de Castro, Cenamor, Rincón, Rebollo, Virto, Moreno, de Aranda, Don Perú, Rielgoitia, Pérez del Pulgar.
Carlos Sainz is having one of his best Formula 1 seasons to date. After 15 races, he's already accumulated more points than he had with McLaren in 2020. It took him until his 5th season in Formula 1 to finally get his first podium. Now he's already banked another 3 just this year.
So why aren't more people talking about him? Carlos is a driver that has always gone under the radar throughout his career in F1. It has already been widely pointed out by fans that he receives significantly less TV broadcast coverage in comparison to other drivers, not to mention that 2 out of his 5 total podiums were rewarded after the original podium ceremony.
At the time of recording, he's currently ahead of his Ferrari teammate Charles Leclerc in the driver's standings, which was generally unexpected as he only joined the team this year.
His performance and adaptability has certainly turned some heads, but he's already shown his talent and potential in recent years on multiple occasions. So this begs the question, why is Carlos such an underrated driver?
Let's take it back to the early days, shall we? Carlos was in fact a Red Bull Academy driver that has since raced for 4 different teams in F1. Toro Rosso, Renault, McLaren, and now Ferrari.
Carlos has consistently been on an upward trend since joining F1 in 2015. He finished 15th in the championship in his first season, then 12th the following year. He then made a mid-season switch to Renault at the US Grand Prix in replacement of Jolyon Palmer, and finished the season in 9th place. He had a comparable year in 2018 with Renault before joining McLaren in 2019, where he truly began to shine. In his own words, he said, "One thing I discovered in McLaren is what a difference it makes for an athlete to perform in an atmosphere and in a team where they appreciate your value, where they give you the importance and the perfect environment to perform at the highest level, psychologically, but also technically."
He went on to finish in 6th place in both 2019 and 2020. As for 2020, he tallied over 100 points in a single season for the first time in his career.
But now that brings us to this year with Ferrari. When it was announced he would be departing from McLaren, it gradually started to look like a poor decision as the 2020 season progressed and Ferrari continued to struggle. Meanwhile, McLaren were showing more signs of increased progress. Not to mention that Ferrari were displaying some concerning internal team dynamics, with poorly hidden favoritism being given to Charles Leclerc. And while that topic deserves its own separate video, the situation at Ferrari certainly raised some red flags and made people wonder how Carlos would be treated during his stint with the team. It seemed like Sainz would have quite the challenge ahead of him, both in terms of the car itself and team politics.
Fortunately, Ferrari have taken some positive strides and made improvements to the car to enable the drivers to be in the fight for 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship with McLaren. But this would of course not be possible without the talented teammate pairing and the consistency that these 2 drivers bring to the table. Carlos is currently tied with both Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton in terms of points scoring race finishes, having scored in 13 out of the last 15 races. In this season alone, he's put his car on the front row, led a few laps, never finished below 11th place, has 3 podiums to his name, and is presently in 6th place in the Drivers' Championship.
Charles has also been very consistent, scoring in 11 out of the past 15 races, getting pole position twice, and has stood on the podium once this season at the British Grand Prix after leading most of the race. When looking over their season, Carlos has been crucial to the team, both in terms of his own individual performance, as well as being able to pick up the pieces when Charles is unable to perform or has had to retire the car. And yet, Carlos's performance has still gone relatively unnoticed, despite the fact that it is very impressive for both drivers to be so evenly matched this year, notably when considering the fact that this is Carlos's first season with the team, while Charles has been driving that car for over 3 years. It speaks volumes on Carlos's ability to adapt quickly and get up to speed in order to maximize his performance. Speaking of adaptability, let's not forget that Carlos isn't the only driver to have switched teams for the 2021 season.
When you compare him to the other drivers that have entered into a new team, it further strengthens his case as a great driver. Now, of course, this argument should not be interpreted as an insult or any way to diminish the performances of the others. But when looking at Carlos, Sergio, Daniel, and Sebastian, it's clear that Carlos has seemingly had a quicker and better understanding of his new car over the others.
Of course, the different machinery and driving styles plays a significant factor, but this doesn't diminish the fact that he's had some unbelievable performances.
This becomes especially interesting when you examine the points at play. Checo is arguably driving the fastest car on the grid, but Sainz is only 7.5 points behind him in the championship. And yes, we know that Sergio has had a mix of poor performance and rotten luck throughout the season, but that's for another video.
Carlos's nearest rival, aside from his teammate Charles, is Daniel Ricciardo, who is currently 17.5 points behind. While it's no secret that Daniel has had a difficult first half of the season, it'll be interesting to see how these two fare against each other in the remaining races.
The other driver to make a switch was Sebastian Vettel. Now see, this one's a little tricky, as we have no means to compare Vettel and Sainz in equal machinery, since last year the SF20 was nowhere near the pace of the SF21. But Vettel and Charles were very closely matched in 2019. So could this be a testament to how Sainz would have performed against Vettel had the roles been reversed? Looking now into Ferrari itself, they found themselves in a very interesting predicament. Carlos is presently leading in points over Charles. And although the points difference is minimal, you really start to wonder how the dynamic between these two could shift if Carlos were to beat Charles in the standings by the end of the season. Given he's the rookie to the team and Charles has been painted as Ferrari's long-term future, this could have some tricky consequences for the team.
Charles has technically finished ahead of Carlos more frequently, with 9 out of 15 races ending in his favor, combined with a 10-5 advantage in qualifying. But overall, the Ferrari pairing have been extremely evenly matched. And so, if Charles has been frequently described as the future world champion, why has Carlos not received similar recognition given his nearly identical performance? Will Ferrari need to revisit their future plans? Or will there be a toss-up between number 1 and number 2 drivers, or will both be granted equal opportunity for 2022? And with rumors swirling that Mick Schumacher could be in line for that Ferrari seat as early as 2023, will Ferrari need to rethink their strategy given Carlos's undeniable value to the team? I mean, as much as we like Mick Schumacher, it would kind of be a shame to see Carlos kicked out through ultimately no fault of his own. He's been a consistent performer. He's on pace with Charles. So at this point, is there really any reason to replace him?
Let us know what you think down in those comments below. Is Sainz just a great co-pilot for Ferrari's comeback? Or do you think he'll make a greater impact as he progresses with the team?
One thing's for sure, we are very curious to see what will become of Carlos Sainz in the upcoming years.
Maybe he'll switch teams again.
Oh, please no. He's been through enough.
Let us know your thoughts in those comments. While you're down there, don't forget to leave this video a like if you've enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button, and we will catch you in our next video.
Bye!